Hey everyone, doing a quick little video here. Not sure if I'm going to do a actual YouTube channel on this or not. I do drive a lot, so it would give me something to do, I guess. But I want to answer a question that I see a lot. So I watch a lot of the Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, multi-appers. I watch a lot of YouTube channels. Kind of helps me get through my day of doing Uber Eats and stuff. And when I'm multi-apping and stuff. But I want to talk about it from a small town perspective, because it seems like a lot of the videos are based out of like Denver, Colorado, Phoenix, Arizona, Minneapolis, just, you know, big cities. And I see people comment like, oh, is this what we're doing in a small town? Now, granted, I'm not from an extremely small town. I live in Missoula, Montana. It is a college town. We do have busy times here. You never see the 1.8 multipliers though, or 1.7. Like, our biggest I've ever seen is 1.4. And that was on an extremely busy day. We rarely get quests. We rarely get anything along those lines. But I do want to answer, is it worth it doing a single app? Is it worth it doing, running multi-apping? Is it worth it in those instances? And the answer, at least for me, and doing the small areas around Missoula as well, I just got to run $8.46 from Starbucks. Accept that. Navigate. Okay, so it is worth it. Even in smaller towns like Missoula, even when I've been out in Hamilton, Helena, Montana, these are smaller areas. I've done Flagstaff, Arizona as well, so that's kind of, if you're in like the Arizona area, Flagstaff is pretty good as well. But to get straight to the point, on Uber Eats, if I'm running Uber Eats alone, if I do like a 12-hour shift or a 10-hour shift, I can still push the $200. Now, granted, I see city people that make $200 on Uber Eats, and they can do it like 5 hours, 6 hours. You know, that's great. But here in the small towns, you know, we're going to have less orders. We're going to have, be a little more picky on our orders, because, and I'll go over that in a later video, but there are other instances that happen in a city compared to Uber Eats in like a small town that kind of make it different whether you accept a run. And I'll go over this deeper in a later video, but if we accept a run in a small town, it takes us, 10 miles. We have to drive that 10 miles back. We're not going to get drove. Like in Missoula, for instance, there's 3 hotspots. We're not going to get an order all the time that takes us to another hotspot. It might take us 10 miles out Miller Creek Road, which is up in the mountains, and I have to drive that 10 miles back. So if I calculate that in, I'm like, oh, $9 run, 10 miles, I'll do it. But I look at it, and it's like, oh, it's up Rattlesnake. I'm like, it's actually $9 for 20 miles, because I have to drive that 10 miles back to get back in the hotspot. I'll kind of go over that later on and kind of give tips and tricks on that for the small town drivers. But yeah, so we don't accept as many runs. We're more picky because we have to be. I've had like $4 offers for 12 miles. Hell no, I'm not going to do that. Then I guess if you're a person that uses Uber Eats, or you actually order food, leave a tip, because you're most likely going to somebody's going to pick up your run quicker. A lot of the drivers are independent contractors, and we're not going to drive that far for that little money. You're like, oh, it's this cheap to get this run out to me, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to tip this or that. Your food's going to get to you, and then you'll complain, oh, my food got to me cold or whatever. It's like, well, it's sitting there, because nobody's going to take $4 to drive, 13 miles. It's just not going to happen. Like, if you want your food and you want it at a reasonable time, tip your driver. They are doing a service. So anyway, back to the original point. Yes, it's worth it. Uber, 10 hours, I can make $200. If I'm multi-apping, I can hit that 209 or 8 hours. I do run Instacart as well. Instacart in small towns, very hit and miss. I rarely get batches. I have done just a all-day Instacart to see what I'd make. I made like $70. I mean, that's all day. That's like 8 hours to make $70. Wasn't worth it. I still have the app. I still do it every now and then. In the morning, I'll throw it on. If there's a good batch, I'll go and take it. It'll be a good start to my day. But really, I stick to Uber Eats and DoorDash. DoorDash is more runs, but they're smaller runs. They're less pay. Uber Eats, I've kind of ran into, it's more run or less runs, but bigger pay. So yeah, that's really it. It is worth it in the smaller towns. I will go into deeper things in later videos, but I do suggest, do it in a smaller town. Depending on your town, depending on the saturation, Missoula, we don't have a high volume of drivers here. We really don't. There are drivers out here. We run into them, because it is, like I said, smaller, so you see the same people out. But we don't have a huge saturation of drivers, which is nice. I would honestly hate it if we got more saturated, because it would get harder. But that's the other thing, too, is because Mondays and Tuesdays can be slower, and even Wednesdays, I can come out on those days and still do really well in a small town, because most people are like, oh, I'm just going to save it for the weekends. And so there's a lot of people that don't drive Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I can still come out on those days and still hit my $200, which is great. I do this full time. And I guess one more aspect I can show you is if I work 7 days that week, I make, $1,400, $1,500 in a week in a small town. So it is nice. I do take 8 days off. I guess I go skydiving or I go skiing. Lost Trail up here, or the Great Divide towards Helena. I do go skiing a lot. It's Montana, you do winter things. And in summertime, I do take days off to go fishing. But really, the money's out there. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to watch this. I'll probably make more videos because I drive a lot. It gives me something to do. And yeah, see you guys later.